Hello everyone and welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan and I do appreciate your patronage. Okay, I filmed this tank not too long ago, but it was heavily planted. Not that it isn't now, but it has just received a trim by yours truly. And so I wanted to show off the tank in a little bit more presentable state, if you will. I love the jungle effect, but sometimes, especially with these like short topped, what am I trying to say, long tanks, right? So this is a 12-gallon long. It's only like 7 inches high, and you know, minus the substrate, you're dealing with like 5 inches, half a foot of water real estate. So between the hanging plants, the frog bit there, and those wonderful roots hanging down all across the top, and then everything vying upwards, you're pretty much going to get a full boat real soon, especially if you're pumping CO2 and have a nice light, like all the things that I do. So this tank was a fabulous shit show a couple weeks back, but the other day I trimmed it heavily, so I want to kind of show off what's going on in here. Talk about some bad news that might have a silver lining regarding this tank. And I hope I don't forget that in my enthusiasm to present. Starting from left to right, these are Flamingo Crips. They can be pricey, although I've seen those numbers going down, not up. I got those as tiny tissue cultures. You're never gonna believe this, at PetSmart. Are you kidding me? But PetSmart and Petco, they've upped their game. And their brands now are servicing aquascapers and hardcore hobbyists, not just Goldfish Bowl and a couple scraggly guppies. Lord knows they have those, but I digress. So these are two pink Flamingo Crips. They're looking really good. And they need some light. So if I had a ton of canopy, which I did, that doesn't necessarily help these plants, although most Crips adore shade and low light. These are actually do better with more light. So there you have it, an upside to trimming. So I've got some epiphytes, plants that grow on rock and wood but not in the soil. At least they shouldn't be put in soil. They won't do well there. In this hardscape of spider wood and lava rock, right? So that anchors the left-hand side, which traps some of the floating plants. I've also put emerged plants here, Creeping Jenny and Hygrophila coriambosa. I just put a top there and it's starting to do its thing already. In and out of the water, that plant's just a warhorse, old reliable. Moving along, more different kinds of Crips, Wendeti, Lucia, is just very common. And those took a while to kind of get their footing, but they're doing all right. This is my favorite plant, Hygrophila pinnatifida. Jesus, will I ever get that right? Here it is in droves. I could arguably have trimmed this even more. If you want it to cling low into the rocks, that's what you're asked to do. And I did do it, but I left these fronds, left it alone to kind of finish the effect from left to right, bringing you down. And then to shallow ground. The substrate is just a couple kinds of gravel and then UNS aqua soil, right? So I am doing aqua soil, but gravel as well. And I didn't do any sort of planting. This is a willy-nilly carpet of assorted Crips, Sterigen repens, hairgrass, I'm trying to think of the name of that one back there. It's not sage, it's another kind of a grass, fast growing. Usually it wants more light, but it's hanging in. Anyway, what a fun sort of potpourri for a carpet instead of just one plant, right? And I'm more into that now than I ever was. And future aquascapes, I'm gonna go down that road. The inhabitants, here's a monster, a mono shrimp. He wasn't that big when I put him in. And then I have Sparkling Gourami and a hand. Hi, hand. Croaking Gourami, as they're sometimes called. Oh, blue eyes. And that brings me to the bad news. I had 6 killie clown loaches in this tank. They all jumped and died, probably during a water change. Maybe I should have known better. I've had rockets or clown killies in tanks without a lid, and they were fine. I don't know. They were all dried up on the thing, and they could have been chased out by these 2 Sparkling Gouramis, which are not aggressive, and that's not one there. That's actually a pygmy Coryadora, of which there's a half dozen in here. Back to the Sparkling Gouramis. I had 5 of those and 6 clowns. I have 2 Sparkling Gouramis left, and the reason they're hard to find is they are a mated pair, in that I've already seen them spawning. And that could be why the clowns jumped out of the car, as it were. And frankly, the other 3 Sparkling Gouramis are pas d'existence. They're gone too. Instead of restocking, I gave this tank a trim, and I want to see if I can't get a spawn here. They're going to need the fry should they come. They will be in a bubble nest up and in this wonderful alcove beneath basically one of the coolest parts of this tank. So I'm glad I'm up here now, because this is the emerged growth pothos, 2 different kinds, creeping Jenny, and then a great piece of wood, some mosses there, and then plants in the back and in the front. And these are $4 plants at Home Depot, $4.99, that I just bought and put around the aquarium to further accentuate the emerged piece. Now, there's a Sparkling Gourami. If they spawn for us now, I mean, that would be so awesome, but they won't. And it's hard to see anyway because of the reflection from my lights, which are a, this is just a Hygra, I think, Hygra, Hyger, excuse me, ER. A cheaper light than some of my others, but it's generally well regarded in the hobby, and it's doing a great job for me. But this whole emerged portion is also the shelter that Sparkling Gouramis absolutely adore. And I did build this tank for that species, and I built this section other than my own edification, but also to accommodate them. Now, they could have opted for back in here somewhere, but to my delight, and I guess challenge, because it's hard to film, they chose up in here. Now there they are. That's the 2 of them. First off, you know they're not 2 males, because 2 males don't hang out together. And plus, I've seen them spawn. God, if they do it now, I'll actually come back, film it, and lop it onto this video. It's not a rarity. They're pretty easy to spawn and breed, actually. But it's still kind of thrilling, and the way they do it's cool too. They wrap themselves up almost like a logo of 2 snakes intertwined, the serpents of the medical center, you know, American Medical Association's a little bit that effect. So it's pretty physical and fascinating. So if you have any questions or things you want to ask about this tank, other inhabitants, the Coryadoras, the Yamano shrimp, there's a few Neocaridina in here. There's some mystery snails. The plants, obviously, the moss, they're doing great. I'm really happy with the plant life here. I haven't had any algae problems in this tank. I have a little bit in all my others, but not here. That's because people will tell you those plants on the top water, the emerging growth, pulling nitrates out of the water. Who knows? All those are good reasons, but sometimes you just get lucky. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. I sure did. Always keep your hands in the tank. Ciao for now.